I'm sitting in a hotel room in my old hometown. This city was my home for 18 years, and it holds some of my happiest memories and some of the hardest. I drove past my old church and the house I shared with my ex-husband, my former workplace, and I went to my favorite Christian bookstore, where somehow, after 5 years away, they still knew me by name. And it made me wonder something. If the 20-something version of me that lived here, if she could sit right across from me, what would I tell her? Because the truth is, the woman who lived here during some of those years wouldn't believe the life that I live now. So today, I want to have a conversation with her. If we haven't met before, my name's Bobby. I'm a Christian woman who's rebuilt her life one faithful step at a time. Sometimes gracefully, other times not so much. I've walked through divorce and unhealthy patterns and seasons where I genuinely wondered what life could look like on the other side. But I've also experienced healing and growth and the kind of transformation only God can do over time. I make these videos for women who are learning to walk forward in life with God after life hasn't turned out the way they planned. If that's you, you're not alone here. When I first moved to this city, I was barely 20 years old. I told everyone I was just moving here for a year and I was going to gain some experience and then move back closer to home and where my family was. But as you're familiar, life rarely unfolds the way we planned. What was supposed to be just a short chapter turned into 18 years of my life, filled with friendships and church life and work and relationships and growth, but also years that held deep loneliness, homesickness, broken relationships, and eventually my divorce. There were seasons I felt completely lost, seasons where hope felt so far away. When I think about the version of myself that lived here during the hardest times, I think of a young woman who is just trying so hard to hold it all together. She believed something about herself that I know now is not true. She believed she didn't deserve a different life. She believed that a better life wasn't possible for someone like her. And underneath that belief was a quiet fear, a fear that she would end up alone and unloved. If you've ever believed something like that about yourself, you know how heavy those thoughts can be. One of the most defining seasons of my life here was my divorce. And oddly enough, the divorce itself was a relief. Feeling lonely inside of a marriage is so much harder than actually being alone. It was a toxic marriage, probably for both of us, but for a long time I felt stuck because good Christian girls aren't supposed to get divorced, right? That belief carried a lot of shame for me. When the marriage finally ended, I felt like I'd failed at something I was supposed to get right. But even in that moment, I knew that somehow I was going to figure it out. I was going to get to the other side of this. I'm a fixer and maybe a bit of a control freak. So I wasn't afraid of working hard to move forward. What I couldn't imagine at the time was how beautiful my life would actually be. If I could sit across from my younger self right now, there's so many things I would want her to know. I would tell her that one day she would love fitness and she would feel strong in her body, and that she can bench press 145 pounds. I would tell her that she had friendships that had lasted years, even over long distance. I would tell her that one day she would experience a healthy marriage. And I would tell her something that would surprise her even more, that her love for Jesus would grow even deeper. Her life would be full of purpose, full of relationships, and full of things she never even thought were possible. And honestly, she'd also probably be a little shocked by how little television she watches. But more than anything, here's a few things that I'd want to tell her directly. First, I would tell her, your life is not over. God still has plans for you right up till your last breath. The story you're living right now is not your last chapter. And second, I would tell her that the God she's learning to trust is even better than she can imagine. He will redeem things that she currently thinks are beyond repair. Third, I would remind her that real change takes time. She spent a lot of time wishing that change would come really quickly. But the most meaningful transformation in her life will come slowly, step by step, season by season. and it will be worth the journey. And finally, I would thank her because there were moments in those years where she could have given up, but she didn't. There were moments where the pain and the loneliness were overwhelming, but she didn't give up, and I'm forever grateful for that. As I drove around in my car throughout the city today, I realized places don't really change that much, but people do. And if you're in a season right now that feels heavy or uncertain or just not what you thought it would be or what you wanted it to be, I want you to hear this. Where you are right now is not the end of the story. God is still working, He is still writing, and He is still walking you through every step of the journey. I often picture the women who are watching this video, women who love the Lord but are exhausted by the weight of rebuilding their life. Women who are working hard and carrying responsibility and wondering if the future will ever feel lighter than it feels right now. If that's you today, I want you to know that you're not alone. The road ahead might look steep, but you don't have to climb it by yourself. Jesus walks every step of the journey with you. Sitting here in this hotel room, looking back at 18 years of memories, I'm reminded of something simple. God is good, and He's been faithful in ways my younger self could never imagine. So if you're in the middle of a really hard season right now, hold on to hope. The story God is writing in your life right now may still surprise you. It certainly surprised me.